Hi, I'm finally here. Whew, quite today. I always think I'm so prepared, and then I figure out that I'm not at all. How's everybody doing tonight? Can you hear me okay? Hey, Ange, Lake, Monica, Wes. Right, Wes. Hey, Deborah. Crime, Bantry. I missed anybody? Ivy. Sheila, thank you for joining. I thought we would start by watching, and I haven't seen it either, so who knows if it's any good, and we shall see. But I'm going to attempt to share my screen, and the link for Colin should be in the description, and I did put it in the comments as well. Well, I really need my chlorophyll. Okay. Could you see it? I couldn't. I couldn't see it. Let me try it again. Yeah, the music stopped. So, can you guys hear me? Yeah, no music needed. My little crime group were trying to help me figure out how to. It said it was 6 minutes long, but then it ends at 4, so it's like, well, that's kinda crappy that they did that. Say you have a 6-minute song, and then it's only 4 minutes. So, the lanterns they were so pretty, and everyone really liked that part, so I'm glad we went ahead and did it. Billy was the one that he really wanted that as well, and I did too because I've seen them, and, um, I did order the green ones. Everything about them is biodegradable, and they do not hurt the earth, the trees, the animals, nothing. I just wanted to add that in there. So, where do we go from here? I released a 2-part series over the last 2 days for Shannon, Paulk, and I know Deborah and I and Wesley and a few others I've spoken to, we've just been kinda, well, now what? You know? Now what? What do we talk about? I've gone back and forth, and you heard me on the audio about not talking about certain suspects, and I I don't mind talking about suspects if they have a record that is indicative of someone that could commit this crime. So basically someone with a crimes against children. And in Alabama, that's real expensive to do. So, um, but yeah, the suspects that have been named, there's only 2. One interesting one that I have not mentioned in any of the live or in any of the podcasts or lives, I believe, I did mention on the page was that the guy that killed or that confessed to killing Jean Bonnet, even though he didn't, he's just crazy. He was actually looked into. I'm not sure how serious. It might have just been more of a media frenzy because the Jean Bonnet case is so infamous. Um, which you kinda, like things like that. Yeah, I like looking into that stuff too. But I find it so sad that and I've seen it with other YouTubers and I've heard them complain about it as well. I know, Incog and I have talked about it. I've heard Gray Hughes talk about it and a lot of other ones. And it's, if you're not covering the whatever is, popular and infamous and gets the most attention, people don't watch, you know? And I find that really sad that What makes the media jump on cases and people follow as well was Delphi. You can look at my videos right now. Hi, Jerry. Um, and you can see a huge difference in between the ones that I have done for Shannon versus the ones that I have done for Garrett Kurtz and the delinquents who deserve no airtime. But I did do some, and with Open Secrets, interview with that because people, speculate that he could be involved with Delphi. So another case that gets everyone to kind of join in, and it's like, I get it. I'm fascinated by those crimes as well, but it just always kind of makes you wonder, what makes one. Why not Shannon? Why not some of the cases that no one's heard of? Why not um Evansdale? Like, why does that case not? I mean, it's really is very similar to Delphi. Two little girls, but yet not near the obsession with it. It's just kind of strange. And too, with her channel Truth and Justice, there's times I've noticed that when she's covering certain cases, there's tons of views on them, and then others there's just not. And I don't know, I guess the psychology of it, of how do you get a case to just take off? Do we know who the police are looking at as suspects? Oh, Deborah. I think that they have consistently said that they are looking at the suspects that they have had from the beginning. And Detective Sergeant Tom Allen and also Prosecutor Mandy with Autauga County. I've spoken with both of them, and it just seems like there really are still, whoever is on that list, they have not been eliminated. And I have tried to get some cleared, and I thought I did, but then I was reading over it again. And I actually had a friend today read it with me to see, like, what am I missing here? And I, I still think that that person is a suspect. I don't think that the email was clearing him at all. I have tried to. I have spoken to one of those suspects, and even got to meet them while I was in Prattville with my good friend C, who I am not seeing in here tonight. Maybe I should text her. But, it's one of those things of, my feelings have been that, he was a scapegoat. But why won't they clear him? And then come to find out, they're still interested in the root beer man, who they came out publicly in the newspapers and said he was not a suspect, but yet he is now. So he's on that list. Crime, I did, when I was in Alabama, Shannon's uncle and some other family, we talked about that. And It is not related to the crime. I trust them and I believe them, and I think that it was there's a drug house, a known drug house that had just been raided. You're not seeing comments anymore? You commented. Goofy girl. Hey, Cher, an Ohio gal. Thank you guys for joining. So and someone call in anytime and grab the link and I'll let you in. But what was I saying? What was I talking about? Totally gone. Yeah, I did see that comment by CRG, and he didn't kill JonBenet. I mean, I think the guy has some major mental issues. I don't know why you would go around, confessing to crimes that you clearly didn't do. It should be, if you click out of the chat, it should be in the show notes, like if you expand those. The suspects that were in the beginning were the Root Beer Man, Jack Earl Gibson, and Ty Foster. And the other ones have not been named, so I don't know who they are. I know that when the grand jury finished, they said that they had narrowed it down to like 3. So there's another one out there. I just don't know who it is. My guess is that it's also someone in Candlestick, or it is the person that killed Carla and Vicky in Dover, Tennessee, because he lived 4 minutes from where Shannon lived. He was good friends with, moved to Prattville with them from another state, and they resided in Candlestick at that time. And he would have a reason to be there that I'm not going to name, but his dad was murdered, or not murdered. His dad died on the day that Shannon went missing. To me, sorry, not sorry. That's a suspect. I mean, it is, and I'm not sure if I said presumed, because he has not been charged with with that at all. It's just the suspect in that case. And I think that from all that I have researched on it in newspapers and everywhere outside of just the podcast, I really do think that he killed them and he got away with it. His dad was Tennessee Bureau of Investigations. And there's a lot of shady stuff that his dad did. A lot. And can you post the link again? Scroll to the top of the chat for the link. I can try. Let's see. And so, Occam's razor. I probably say that way too much. I need to find like another philosophical phrase to use. It's just reasonable to assume. I think you're right, Wes. I think it was 84, maybe later. I know it was before 2001, which is the important time. And yes, Chris, it was in Dover, Tennessee. Carla and Vicky are the murder victims. And they were killed. They were out walking. They were off school and walking down their street to their home. And in the middle of the day, they were abducted and then they were found murdered. Sound familiar? No. That led nowhere, according to the investigators. And we have Bantry. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
So I saw that the sketch they had has been debunked. Can you talk about that a little?
Oh, I hate that sketch. Did you see it? Have you
Yeah,
seen the sketch? What's your impression of the sketch? Just
it looks too precise.
which one are you looking at? The bulging eyed
The one with the mole?
and the bulging eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Um,
was that produced by two kids, pretty much? By their description? Or how was the sketch gotten, I guess?
well, the witnesses, they were young witnesses. They lived in Candlestick. They were friends of Shannon, and um, that was what they went with for years, literally until 2017, when they were subpoenaed to testify before the grand jury. And it came out then that they did not tell the truth back then, and the sketch was then deemed not credible. And so the sketch is, and I know that I like went on a rant on the podcast because I hate sketches. I literally hate them. I think that they hurt way more, especially if the police are going to ask for the public's help. Like, the public doesn't understand, they don't understand sketches. You hear it all the time. Well, it's not an identical. It's not going to look like it's not a picture of the person. It's just going to kind of look like them. Makes no sense. You either can, I just don't get them. And eyewitnesses have proven to be. I tried the experiment myself. We saw a sketchy guy, sketchy. He sketched us out. And the situation with him, his girlfriend, like, it was one of those things where you pay attention. And I wanted to memorize that guy's face. And me and my daughter both tried to. And a day later, we described him when we got home from our walk. Then a day later, we described him again and wrote all this down. And then a week later, and then 2 weeks later, but didn't look back at our writings. I couldn't tell you a single thing about that guy within a week. Almost, well, I could tell you like what he was wearing and his height and like body type, but his face, totally gone. And we were really trying. And it does. Yes, Wesley, it creates tunnel vision. And I just get, because so many people will ask me like, please share the sketch. And what it does is that sketch is not valid. Like, they lied. And then one of them, supposedly, because you can create a fake account. We've seen trolls a lot. Got on the page after I had called that out and was like, I'm one of those witnesses, and it was not a lie. So basically, what you're saying is you lied on the stand, which is a chargeable offense. That's perjury. And from what I have gathered, and I did speak to the prosecutor about it, and not not Houston, but an assistant prosecutor in their office, and it's like, we were both just, I feel anyway, be it not for that sketch, I think that this crime would have been solved because they wasted so much time looking for the hairy mole man who was driving 2 cars. How do you drive 2 cars? And it has come to my attention that these 2 girls' stepdad was sexually abusing them. So you kinda gotta wonder if they were forced to make that man up.
Is he a suspect?
He could be the 3rd. My thing is with
Especially,
Candlestick, I know a lot of the residents were completely shocked when they found out, and a lot of these had not been arrested. Jack Gibson was arrested after. Ty Foster was being investigated in 2000 for, child pornography, and then afterwards for the sodomy. So, those investigations, but everyone else, like, they were a consequence of the investigation for Shannon that they found these other things, though they don't relate them to Shannon's case. So it's just kind of like, you got McElroy, child pornography, Jack Gibson, child pornography. Ty Foster was charged with child pornography, but yet it I can't find that he was convicted of that. So I'm not sure what they were trying to do with that. But you know how charges sometimes work. If you have a bigger one, like the sodomy charges, that maybe they drop that one. I don't know, but
I can't even find a plea on that or anything. No word since the sentencing.
yeah, he was convicted and he served, I think, 3 years.
Okay.
3 years. So,
A couple of things on Ty. One, they found Shannon's blood in her house, and uh, they said it was. He said it was because she gets bloody noses often, which has been confirmed as kind of a thing, right? And then
yeah.
two, the day of the searching, he just acted like nothing was going on, which is really weird. What do you think about those things?
It is definitely odd behavior. But it's also, you know, from what I understand, she had fallen on a skateboard, and so the bloody nose was kind of linked with that. But my thing is that you would you'd have to be able to prove definitively that that story wasn't true. So there must have been something about it. Maybe there was mucus in the blood, because that would come from the nasal cavity. And I don't know.
Were they able to determine how long the blood had been there?
I I don't
Nothing.
know. I just, know that, like, if you find her blood in his trailer, yet he wasn't charged, so I would assume that, but Shannon's mother did say that she was known to get nosebleeds, so her dad said she was not known to get nosebleeds. Other people don't remember her getting nosebleeds, but I've just gotten a lot. It's gets really frustrating, and that's, unfortunate because I've gotten a lot of conflicting accounts, and, when that happens, you're like, "Well, which one was true?" You know?
Right.
The timeline was just a debacle because it changed all the time, and the first timeline was worked on by family, not her mom, though, not her dad, 'cause he was not there, he was in a different town, not close, um, and then when I talked to her mom, was like, "None of that happened." I'm sorry, tonight I'm just gonna get real. This is our last chance, we're running out. We're running out of time before 2020. And I have a lot of questions.
Statute of limitation. There's no statute of limitations.
On murder? No. But my goal was I want this solved by 2020. That's why I wanted to have it at the 19 year, you know? And so she was in the trailer quite a bit playing with Ty's kids. Yes, she was friends with everyone. And she would visit her neighbors multiple times. And she had been out of town prior to that with family members in where was that? Was that Georgia or Florida? But I spoke to him when I was there. Such a sweet man, and I really liked him, and I enjoyed our conversation. And um, you know how everybody tries to blame themselves. He was even like, "I wish I had just kept her with me." She would have been alive. She was due to start school, though, so I understand why her mom was like, she can't stay any longer because she begged to stay. She wanted to stay with them. And, but you're starting school next week. You got to come home. But she had been there for, I'm assuming, at least a few weeks of that summer, from what I've been told. And so, but then he says she had bloody noses all the time. Who are you talking about? Hasn't it been reported that Ty said he didn't really know Shannon? I don't. I think that everybody knew Shannon. As far as how well, I'm assuming that a man wouldn't know a little girl real well. I would hope, but I think when you have a little girl that wanders the neighborhood and doesn't appear to want to go home, and because everybody reports that they saw her all the time, and she would visit multiple neighbors multiple times a day. And Alabama is fucking hot. Sorry, but it is. It's humid and hot, and the asphalt was like hot through my shoes that day. And I had on thick shoes, if I'm remembering which day it was. Yeah. And, like, why didn't she go home for lunch? Why didn't she go home for snack, like a drink? And a few people have told me that they would let her drink out of their hose.
Was she abused?
Why would she need to drink out of a hose?
Was there abuse at home or something?
Not that has been documented.
Because you're right. Why wouldn't she want to go home?
I don't know if it was just, I think she had one of those personalities that was just so social. And I think that played a big part in it. But at this point, I have spoken to, off the record, on the record, a lot of her friends. And that question, did Shannon lock her out? Did her sister lock her out? That has come up several times during my investigation. And a lot of the neighbors say that that she did lock her out of the house. The family says absolutely not. And so,
you know how siblings are, though.
I mean, I locked my brother and sister out of the house.
Yeah.
Just because I was a brat.
I was the youngest. I was abused heavily by
But like
that. Like, yeah.
My thing is that her sister also told me that Shannon was grounded that day. Okay, so here's a little girl that's grounded, and that just doesn't make sense. That no one looked for her. Okay, so if I came home and my little girl that was grounded wasn't in her room, not doing anything, I'm gonna be looking for her ass, you know. Um, but that's not what happened. She came home and they went to Walmart, and she went to Walmart to get Shannon a gift. That's what she told me, her mom. And then they came home and she cooked dinner. And then around 7, they did start to like wonder, like she's not home, like what's going on. And so they did go and start asking neighbors. And then by at 9, the police were called.
So, quick question about Ty. Did he own a van? Wasn't he like cleaning it while they were searching?
Um,
Do
I
you take
don't
that suspicious behavior?
I have not, or oh, you mean from the interview with Jen or her aunt?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if did she say cleaning or was he just like like in it and um
I can't remember.
I'm not sure, but yeah, like that she said that they saw him out near his van doing something in his van and that he didn't look at them. But then again, I've talked with another friend and they said that he was searching for her and he was devastated that she um was gone. So
Where were the police during this? Were they paying attention to searchers, anything like that?
yeah, Jack Gibson was arrested and jailed and charged on Sunday, and she went missing on Thursday. Ty Foster was August 24th. He was rearrested, but I don't believe that was due to anything with Shannon. I think it was the other charges. And so, yeah, I mean, they were definitely they set up their temporary like I don't know, I think it was just a tent, right there. And then I think it was and they just basically they had their center right there. They brought in search dogs. There was a company, I would love to speak to him because there's a big difference between a cadaver dog and a dog that searches for a missing child. They're looking for a live victim. And oh, we've got a guest. We'll try this. Hi. How are you doing? Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me good?
Yeah. You might want to move a little closer to your mic.
Okay. Now can you hear me better?
Yep.
Well, let me just tell you who I am. My name is Monica, and I'm Ty's ex-wife. So I hear a lot of talking about him on here. You still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I hear a lot of talking about him on here, and I'm just want to give you my opinion. I mean, I know that you are kind of thinking he's a fall guy, but I just really don't believe that. I just really don't. There's been too many things said and too many comments dealing with Shannon and Ty to make me not think any different. And he was arrested on probably 160 something counts of child pornography. But those were, I don't know what happened to those. I really don't. They just disappeared as far as I know. I was told that if the feds wanted to pick that up, they would. He was arrested for sodomy, abuse of children, and he does not have to register as a sex offender because a plea was taken.
Mm-hmm.
He did in court say that he caused the damage, but did not say as to how. So they gave him a plea. But the only reason that a plea was agreed to is because he was supposed to get 20 years for 2 counts, 20 years each count. But then they dropped it to 3. That's the only reason that a plea was agreed to, that he wouldn't have to register as a sex offender.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
I mean, I've read those transcripts, so I'm fully aware of his charges. And I first off, I think that the charges that he was facing before, Shannon, on the child pornography, I'm guessing that it got rolled over into the more serious case.
all right.
I'm just guessing on that though. But when a prosecutor, you know, there's no jury on this one, and even with juries, the judge is the final say on what they are going to sentence a person to. And
Correct.
they usually take the prosecutors or the jury's into consideration, and usually abide by that. So what I just feel that it says that he did not want to put his children through testifying, which I can commend. I'm sorry, but I can. Putting 2 children and a third child on the stand, that's hard. That's emotionally damaging to those children. But it's also emotionally damaging to those children that they don't feel that a system, and I see it a lot. I'm not necessarily talking about his case right now. I'm talking in general. Alabama is not good at keeping children safe at all.
No.
And they say that they've passed laws and they've done this and they've done that. But and those all are things that help a child to feel safer to tell. But when it comes to prosecuting them and sentencing them more so, they suck. They're not good at it. Neither is Indiana.
Yeah, they're not good at it. But when, even if you don't look at any of those cases, there's been many times that he's made comments like Shannon's prettier than you, telling Shannon come back and see him, patting her on the butt when she goes out the door. She has been at his house on more than one occasion by herself. There's too many things that make me look at him. I know him. I know how he is. And I will tell you that a big thing is that blood and bodily fluids were found in his house. And I've tried to blow that off, and I've tried to, say, okay, well, yes, he's violent. Yes, he's sexually perverse. But no, he would, yes, he would molest a child, but would he kill somebody? And I've tried to really blow that off. But I guess what really makes me hang my hat on it is because Shannon's panties were found around her neck. And if that's the case, he has a serious panty fetish, a disgusting panty fetish. I mean, going into people's houses and stealing panties.
Well,
collect.
I mean, that's hearsay. We want to say that. I don't.
Well, I understand that it's hearsay. It's hearsay for you. It's not hearsay for me because I've seen it.
Right.
But,
I just. You have spoken to the different detectives on and off throughout the years.
right.
Do they take you seriously?
Yes. Yes, I believe they do.
Did they tell you that Ty was cleared?
No. No, I have never been told he was cleared ever.
What about from the evidence that just came back?
I believe he may have been cleared from whatever they just sent out,
Yeah.
but that does not clear him from the case. There was a lot of evidence sent out. I mean, when Shannon disappeared, nobody has talked about this at all as far as what he did when Shannon disappeared. And that really strikes me as odd. When Shannon disappeared, they went to his house. They went to everybody's house, and they went in and they searched their homes and looked for Shannon. When they went to Ty's house, he refused them to come in. He would not let them come in his house. So it was not until the FBI came into town, I believe, that he was arrested on his past case. That was the only way that they went into his house. And they took mega stuff out of his house. From what I was told from neighbors, they carried bags and bags out of his house. They took sink parts, I believe. They took cuttings from his floor. I was told cuttings from his, wallpaper, carpet, just everything, out of his home. And if I'm thinking correctly, they went back in his home almost a year later into that same trailer. So I don't know how much evidence that they received from his trailer or what evidence that they just recently sent off. But just because he's cleared, he may be cleared from this little small bit of evidence. That doesn't mean that he's going to be cleared from the other evidence. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I believe he was questioned as far as if he knew anyone on 66, and he denied that in the past. But he did know somebody who lived on 66. It was one of his neighbors that lived in Candlestick as well. And when he got out of prison, he moved straight to County Road 66, in with the neighbor that used to live in Candlestick and still resides there. So, I mean, he knew the area, he knew Candlestick. To my knowledge, he was working that day. He had been working there a couple of days before, and he had been working there a couple of days after at one of the trailers right there around the pond, the turnabout. I believe it was by the Halloween man's house. He was working on an empty trailer right there. Somebody asked if he drove a van. Yes, he did. He drove a van. He drove a white van. Sometimes he would drive a red van. But I mean, like I said, just because he was cleared from one small bit of evidence, it just does not change my opinion on it.
I just am still Well, for one, I don't believe that all of these men could not have killed Shannon. And from other people that I have talked to, I just feel like he's got a bit railroaded. I don't know who killed Shannon. I don't. No one does. And that's why it's been hard for me to like talk about these suspects, and why I'm not going to go and look through, pay $9.99 for anyone relevant, that has a relevant record to talk about them. However, Jack Gibson and Ty are the only ones that have been named by the police, which makes them, we can talk about them, and they've been named by the papers and everything, so we can talk about them. But at the same time, I just don't know. I feel like here's a man that was trying to he was said to have been searching for Shannon, emotional that she was missing, emotional when she was killed. Then he gets off basically on the sodomy charges. So what was the judge thinking? Was he thinking that it was made up and they were going after him because they wanted to get him on something? I know that, but then again, I know that those are your children. And I think that the other camp feels that it was a attack on him, and that you were at the front of that. Which, as a mother, if I believed that my children were being molested by their father, I'd kill him. I mean, you had restraint. I mean, and so what happened when he got before the judge that made the judge say that he didn't think he was enough of a threat to put him on a sex offender registry? There had to be something.
I don't know. I know it was the same judge that that followed everything.
Yes, Wesley. They had it changed because of the Shannon Paulk case. He rightfully so did not feel that he would get a fair trial, but then it did end up but it was the same judge, but then it ended up that he took a plea to avoid the children having to testify. That was his testimony.
Yeah, my daughter could not. She could not testify, but we were guaranteed that he would get 20 years each count, which would have been 40 years. And even if they ran it together and he only did 20 years, at least he would be locked up until my daughter was grown. Mm-hmm. So she wouldn't have to worry about anything. So that's why we accepted that plea. And then the same judge came back and said on the sentencing, and gave 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but other than the fact that, maybe that my daughter just couldn't get up there and testify, but, I lived with this man. I know his violence, and I know his perversion. So,
did he have charges that can be verified of that domestic violence?
I believe he has He has a physical. He has a physical. I'm not sure what you would call it. Domestic violence against my son. Because he hit him across the head with some kind of game board or something.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as with me, no, I never filed charges. I never filed charges. They begged me to file charges, you know, and I told them I'll be dead before you get back here. You don't understand, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I mean, you know, he is still stalks my kids, and you know, when my son turned 19 and came off of child, we were in court to come off of the child support. No big deal. I'm in court to come off the child support. I go up there. He's standing there. He came up to me and he whispered something in my ear, and I lost it. I mean, I just literally lost it. And the judge hit his gavel and he said, "Come here." And I came up there, and luckily he saw him whispering in my ear. And he said, "What did he say to you?" And I said, "He told me that son of yours sure does a lot of fishing in that pond, and that leaves you in the house alone a lot." When my daughter turned 19 years old and the restraining order against him staying away from her was over, he came to her job, sat down in her station. He told her everything about her. He told her what her children's names were. He told her how old they were. He told her where they lived at, all the places, different places that they lived. He told her he wanted to be in his grandchildren's lives. She was so freaked out that she ran out the back. She called me and she called her husband, and he had to go down there, and she had to leave work. And he didn't even take that as a clue. He came up to another waitress and handed her $20 and said, "Give this to my daughter. Tell her to give it to my grandkids and tell them I'll be seeing them soon."
mm-hmm.
He's a very dangerous person. Nobody seems to believe that, though. But, you know, what folks don't understand is you do not know what goes on behind closed doors.
That's true.
You know?
Sorry. I just, like with Garrett Kurtz, someone can look completely good for it. They can have the criminal record, they can have the personality, they can have, you know, all of the pieces. You can place them there, and they're still not the killer.
True. I agree with that. And when Shannon's case is solved, it very well may not be him. It may not.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
you know, but the thing is, until they say he is not the killer, I will believe that he is. I mean, just from knowing him, you know, until they tell me, okay, this person right here is the one who killed Shannon, and we have 100% proof on that, then I will believe it. And I do not want him to be railroaded. I do not want him to be the fall guy. I don't want him to go to prison for Shannon's murder if he did not do it. You know, I don't.
I feel like he's been in prison for Shannon's murder for 19 years, though, even though he's been out. And that's the part that is so unfair, because there's only one killer. And I have been on his side. I really have. I have tried to be. And I met him. I've spoken with him. Uh, I just
I'm really not
I
trying
don't
to.
know. I just feel like he is a fall guy. I have felt like he is a fall guy.
And you may be right. I mean, you may be right, and I don't want him to be. But you say that you think he's been in his own prison for 19 years. I don't believe that. If he was in his own prison in his mind for the past 19 years, then why would he make that comment to me in court? Why would he stalk my daughter? How would he know even where we live at? You know, why would he have done that? My daughter had to go back and get a restraining order against him as an adult. If he was sitting at home thinking, oh God, everybody thinks I killed Shannon, blah, 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 I just have to, hide out and I feel so bad and blah, then why did he go to my daughter's job the day the restraining order ended? Why did she have to go back and get a restraining order on him as an adult?
Mm-hmm.
People who are living in a prison in their own mind about something, they're not going to do something like that because it kind of brings the spotlight back to them.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I understand your point. And but I also understand that there's two sides to every story. So,
True.
if he
True.
didn't do it as a dad, I would want, I'm just thinking as like a parent, like if I didn't do it, I would want to see my kid, I would want to like see my child. So I don't know. I have been the one that's kind of been against, everyone else is like sold on it. And for some reason, I don't know, just gut, I guess, I have strayed away from that. I also strayed away from the root beer man just because he said he was cleared, but apparently he's not. And I have recently been given some new information that I can't divulge, but it's leading me to believe that I have been wrong. And I am willing to admit that. And I'm sorry if I've done anything to you that has hurt you in that. And I'm sorry for the friends that this will hurt. That I've made. So,
And that's heartbreaking in itself. I mean, he's very good. And anybody that is his friend, if it turns out that he is the one who did this, anybody that is his friend and who has stood beside them, don't kick yourself in the butt. Don't take responsibility for that. Don't feel like, how could you not see that? I lived with him. I lived with him and I didn't see it. I didn't see it for so long. I did not see it. And even when I left him, I did not see him crossing a line with my daughter. He's very good. I don't know what you call that, but he's very good. He can be whoever he wants to be or whoever he's dealing with.
mm-hmm.
And,
My
so.
thing is I get what you're saying, and I've made a really good friend, and I consider her to be, she's very special to my heart. And, I couldn't even tell her. I should have done that before this, and so I'm feeling just really shitty. But I just cannot stand by and say that I don't know who killed her. I can't say what I have now, and I won't. I would never do that, but I am not going to continue to defend him. So,
I think the biggest thing that scares
and
me
that is what's going to hurt, my friend. And for that, I am truly, truly sorry. I still do feel like I understand. You're a mama bear. I get it. But I hope that you are careful, and I hope that you can open up to other possibilities, as I am going to have to now, because he wasn't a possibility for me. And now that is not the case. And Root Beer Man, he wasn't a possibility for me. And now that is not the case.
Yeah, Root Beer Man was creepy.
Yeah, there's just something about that whole situation with him that and that's why it's really important to find out if those were truly cadaver dogs or search and rescue dogs, because a cadaver dog is not going to run away to follow another trail. They are trained to pick up on the scent that human your body releases when you die. That is what they are trained to do. They are not like interchangeable. Like, you don't get so if that was a cadaver dog that would not leave his trailer alone, that, and the fact that he is still a suspect, apparently, and the fact that he lured those children into his home and took
Right.
pictures of them. Just because he didn't take pictures of Shannon, they didn't find any. He had them on, like, he had them printed, plus what was all on his computer. And he was called the Root Beer Man for a reason. I mean, he gave those kids root beer. He paid them to clean. He was a predator. He
Yeah.
preyed on them. He's a predator. He has to be suspect number one. I just thought he was cleared. I thought he was no longer a suspect until here recently. So it's just I don't know. I just feel like I want to wrap up this part because I don't want to. I was speaking with someone else at the vigil that has been put through the ringer as a suspect. And I could literally feel his pain over that. And there's others that just, they all couldn't have killed her, Right. And the inconsistencies within the family, the immediate family, I don't understand that. I don't understand why there is conflicting stories. And I don't understand why myself, Tammy, and Charlie, Jeanette, and her husband, I mean, we have been working for a year, and I'm sorry, and then there was Wesley. I mean, you did some too. You did. You handed out flyers, I know. And there's been a few other, and it just feels like the people that I just named, and Deborah and Wesley and I, care about Shannon more than her immediate family. And I just don't understand that. And when I was there, I didn't, I, I haven't had a conversation, with any of them. And her dad was given an opportunity to get all of the information that they could give him, and he didn't show up. And in light of this new information, I have to kind of take a step back and, unfortunately, like, wonder why. Why I don't understand. I just am. I was very hurt by that, and very just kind of like, I don't get it. I don't understand that. I don't. When, and I also think that it's, everybody is different, and I cannot imagine, like, myself versus my sister with our children. I think she would handle it completely different. Like, she would just shut down and not want to have any part of any kind of, like, Facebook group or social media or vigils or nothing. She would just, it's in the investigators' hands, and they're going to let me know when it's solved. To where me, hell no. Like, I'm going to be fighting tooth and dog. I'm going to be yelling I'm going to use Michelle Barton as an example, because that mama bear, she is. And then there's another one. I've been following a case. It was just on culpable. Christian is his name. Follow me on Twitter to find out some of these names, and I'll tell you what, like, that's a mom that is just not going to give up. And then you have parents like that, and then you have parents that just, they just don't, there's nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, it's like, so that could kind of explain the distance, but like Wesley just said, immediate family is distant and inconsistent, and the inconsistency is what I'm having trouble understanding. And I'm just letting the cold truth fly tonight. Like, this is it. This is our last season finale, and I have been told so many things that I have not said. And I've contemplated this all day. I just do not feel like there is a lot of truth out there. And honestly, it feels like we're right at school. There isn't much that has been done. I don't feel like, I feel like I've done my best. And that's what I promised Shannon, is that I would do my best. It just is just frustrating, I'm sorry, just it just feels like this year has gone in a circle, and the timeline, that's kind of like what I can do. And I feel like it's something that you can kind of lay out there, and that can lead you to be able to, like, narrow it down, or just to be of help, or to help people that come together, that maybe from that they can read that and be like, oh my gosh, wait a second, and it triggers a memory. Memories are like that. That's okay, Cher. Good night. Memories are like that. And so, but yet the timeline, it was like so full. And then half of it, I found out that it wasn't even true and I've had to change it. And things were, when I get two completely contradicting stories, how am I supposed to know which one's true?
Right.
You know? And so it just feels like, and the person that pays the price for it is Shannon. And I think that she deserves to be at peace. And the cold truth just needs to come out of what was going on, what is happening, and why has there not been an arrest? I get it that you have to have evidence, you have to have this, you have to have that. There's a grand jury. Grand juries aren't just, they just don't have grand juries for nothing. In Shannon's case, they are Shannon's grand jury, and they have been impaneled, and they still are impaneled to this day. They have a suspect. I feel like I just don't understand any other reason for a grand jury, and it's laughable that it was because they wanted to disprove or prove the witnesses. No, they ain't gonna pay that kind of money and have that special, informal grand jury for no reason. So, what is the deal? What is the deal? Why does she not deserve to have the red carpet laid out for her case like others do? Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah, I agree. It's been too long. It's been too long. I know that they have everything together now, because after 9/11, everything went everywhere, and
Yeah.
I understand that was a big holdup because,
Mhm.
if it went to one place, it went to the back of their file,
Mhm.
because they've got their own cases to do. But
Hi,
they do
Sharon.
have it all together now, and I
Yeah.
guess they're piecing it together,
Mhm.
piece by piece. But I think there was a lot more going on in
Right.
Candlestick and a lot more people in some shady stuff than most people know.
Yeah. Yeah, and the stories that I have been told. There are men, a Kenny Darity, who he is in prison awaiting sentencing for murdering someone later. And it wasn't a child or anything like that. But I have talked to a firsthand eyewitness, and she relayed to me that he confessed around a campfire. And there
I've
has
heard
been
that.
others that have said that he has confessed at that same campfire. And they were present when he murdered this other woman. And she called the police. They came out and she was like, it's this country road. And they're like, they ran down the road. We didn't find anything. And then just so happened, and if not, no one would have gave a damn. Two hunters again found her body. And then that's when that he was finally charged. But they didn't even listen to any of them. But yet that, this is a person that has confessed to killing Shannon. There was another
There was
one in
another
Florida.
man,
There was another one in Florida.
Glasscock.
Huh? Joseph
Glasscock.
Smith, I think was his name, Glasscock. Yeah,
Yeah, he
Glasscock.
was here.
Doesn't that just sound like a pedophile to everybody? You got a name
Yeah,
like that?
he's the one that said he'll admit to killing Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
So, because he wants a death penalty. And
Oh.
so yeah, that hasn't I don't think that is valid. Kenny Darity, I don't know. I just know that he's a murderer. So you got to look at murderers. And then the guy in Dover. No one else has been convicted of murder except for Kenny Darity, who confessed. I can't find anything that connects him to Shannon or family or anything at all. So I don't know. But I have a list, poor Tom, like that people have turned into me because they're scared of the investigators. I don't know why. I like Tom. I think he is a super great guy, and I think that he is going to be the one that solves this case. I honestly 100% have faith in him. But he needs people that are willing to stop being scared and talk to him, because there's always someone out there that knows. And people need to start telling the truth. And if that Dover case, if that is the killer of them, and he just happened to be living in Prattville right there by Shannon, had access to Candlestick, that person that knows him needs to tell what they know. The person that knows Ty Foster needs to tell what they know. The person that knows Jack Gibson needs to tell what they know, and anyone else. And it doesn't seem like people are willing to, or they have called offices that don't give a damn. But I do believe that right now, as it speaks, we have a guy that gives a damn, and people need to call him and tell him what they know. It's not going to get solved. It's not going to get solved if that doesn't happen. And it's not going to get solved if they can't get the funds. I wish we could have fundraisers for this kind of thing. I don't think it's a thing, but if we could raise money to get the evidence tested, whatever they need, you know, it just breaks my heart that, like, if this was one of those cases at the FBI that they have a special room for because they're that important, there isn't an expense spared.
I think
And
it should be like that for children.
they should have a lab that the sole purpose of that lab, I know Wesley and I talked about this, is they don't do anything that is current. They only work on cold cases. That's all they do. Why in the hell can't we have that? We waste money on a ton of shit in America. A ton of shit. Why can't we have that? These are children, especially the children. I just feel like it's just so cold to me that you would say, oh, they're not a priority. Like, how can you write that memo back and say, that's not a priority right now? It's not going to get done. That's a child that was taken from this earth by a monster who is likely not going to stop. I mean, why do you think serial killers? I don't think there's a conspiracy. There's no cover up. Oh, people are saying we're not here. A little feisty tonight. But I appreciate you coming on, and I wish you the best. So I am going to go ahead and let you go and see if someone else, a couple people, maybe Wesley, I know that Deborah was in here. If you guys would like to join me for a little bit to discuss some things and wrap up, I would.
Do you take me out, or do I take myself out?
I think I can, maybe. Waiting on Deborah and Wesley. While I'm waiting for a few more minutes to see if they decide to join, I would like to say that big thank you to Phyllis Hall and Jill Friedman. Thank you so much. I hope you won. I haven't seen anything, but I appreciate you pulling me aside and saying, you know, what you said and being willing for me to interview you. And I'm sorry that that day just blew up right after that. And so shout out to you guys and to my new friends on Twitter. You guys have been amazing. And to the group and this guy that's about ready to come on, and Deborah and so many others, and my little crime misfits. I call us that, but we like to, you know, work on these things, and they have been a huge support system for me and for the other members of the group. And it's good to have people that like to talk about this stuff, and you can support each other and become so close in a time with COVID. When none of us are going anywhere, we need human connection. It's vital to humanity. It's innate. And so I appreciate all of you. Here is Wesley. Hello, sir.
Hey, hello,
How are
Mel.
ya?
How are you? I'm doing good. It's good to see you. Good discussion tonight.
Yeah. And now we've got Deborah. And you can support each other and become so close. You have
There's Deborah.
turn your sound off on your other device. Where we need human connection. It's vital to humanity. It's innate. And so I appreciate all of you. You have to turn your sound off on your YouTube.
Hey, hello, Mel. How are you? I'm doing
Who's
good.
got their YouTube sound on?
I'm trying to get it on.
We've got Deborah.
Hey.
And you can support each other. I said that a while ago, honey. Yeah.
There's Deborah.
I'll mute you until you figure out how to turn your sound off. While she figures that out, how you doing, Wes?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
I'm like you, just kind of frustrated, you know, after we had the vigil, you know, and then there was it's been kind of a letdown period where I'm just kind of feel a little bit aimless, you know, and how what to do next.
Right.
I did have something just to switch gears maybe a little bit with what we were talking about, and and this is as far as I know, it has just been a rumor that's hard to get a hold of, and that was about about Shannon's necklace, and where it was found, and if there was a necklace,
right,
and the story behind that. Do you have anything new on that, or is there any?
The person,
or what's your take on that?
Did not call me. I want firsthand accounts, and the person did not call me.
Same here, yeah.
So I'm not gonna, you know, it's got to be from that person. So and you know, when someone is deceased, their children or wife or whoever is living in that family is the next best thing to speak to. And so I would need to speak to that person. But if that is true, that's bizarre.
And I'm not even sure from the very beginning with the necklace, it's never really been verified that really there ever was a necklace that was found. It was just a story, as far as I
And
know.
I do know that they had a camera and the police scoured all of that footage and they did not find Shannon was not seen over there. So
Yeah,
and that's what makes me wonder. It's like, man, if that story is true, that would mean he made up the story at finding it at the gas station, because you can't, if you're not on video. I mean, videos don't lie. They're
correct.
the best eyewitnesses. And so where the hell did he get that necklace?
Yeah,
If
but
it's true.
and like you said, it would be so good to be able to have some kind of verification on that. But it makes you wonder, and it kind of goes back to the sources, of information and the inconsistency that exists there.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you wonder.
We called five or six. Deborah, was it? Oh, she's gone. Like, she's completely gone. Deborah, are you going to join us? We called every number that we could find for Clifford Ziegler, and none of them worked. But it is confirmed by the papers and like in the papers, through the papers or whatever, that he turned in evidence after he found them. Not that day, nothing like that, but sometime after, within a couple, I think it was like even like a month or so later.
Something like that. Yeah, 2 or 3, 4 weeks.
So odd. Here she is. Let's see if this works. Something like that, but sometime after. You got to turn your sound off, even like on YouTube, or just close YouTube on our video. Here she is. Let's see if this works. Something like that. We just hear us.
Did we lose her again?
Yeah. I don't know how to tell her to just turn her volume off for the YouTube. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. And just have
Hello?
the phone.
I don't know how to tell her.
No. I don't know how to do this.
Volume off for... Can you just go into StreamYard and close YouTube altogether?
And just
Hello? I don't know how to tell her. No.
I don't know how to do this.
Just turn the sound off on it. Aww. Let's try another way. Call her.
Hello?
Hi.
Now you're still ringing.
Huh? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
So just turn the sound off on your YouTube.
Still ringing. This is just very, very strange. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can.
Just log out of YouTube. Just close it and talk on the phone.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, let's do it that way.
There we go. Can everybody hear Deborah? So were you unable to mute YouTube, Deborah? Was that the problem?
That was the problem.
Huh. Interesting.
And every time I would try to, I would start getting an echo. So this works.
Okay. So yeah, I was telling them that we tried to call every Clifford Ziegler we could find a number for, and we struck out at every turn. I guess he likes burner, what are they, prepaid phones? So
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something odd with him. I mean, he was in
Mel,
such detail about her clothes, but yet those were never in the description.
when I was talking to somebody about Clifford Diggler, or when some information was being given to me that we were talking about, the first name was given to me as Larry Ziegler, and so I don't know if maybe his name was, you know, there could be a middle name in there involved, and he went by one name
Right.
when his actual name was something else.
His middle name is Zeke. I have discovered, in looking him up, I see the name Clifford Zeke Ziegler.
Okay. So,
but I don't know about that. That was just the name that was given to me, or that was the person was calling him Larry Ziegler.
Yeah.
But he was talking about the same person. So,
who found the necklace? No clue. Don't even know if it's real. I ask a simple question of to the family: did Shannon wear, did she, and to the friends and stuff? Did Shannon wear necklaces? But they were, Monica, but not on the butterfly on the shorts. And what was I saying about
whether or not the necklaces.
did Shannon wear a necklace? Did she like necklaces? And I literally, no one seemed to know. Her mom said that she wasn't into jewelry, so she didn't think she did. Her dad said that he thought that she was. Her friends were didn't really know. And so
we don't even know what it looked like or anything.
No, someone said that it had a black chain or I'm sure it wasn't like a chain, but whatever it was black. I don't know. I just know that there was nothing found on the footage, which is surprising. It must have been facing towards the gas station. I've often wondered if they had footage leading away from Candlestick. I mean, that's a huge highway.
Yeah, and then back then, I don't know if, like you said, if a camera would be showing all the way out to the road or to the grassy area, or something, or anything of that nature.
Right. So, yeah, just simple things of trying to get to the bottom of have just been, I know for you too, it's been frustrating. Just you can't seem to get a straight answer, or you call someone and you think, okay, she didn't wear necklaces. Let's just forget about that. And then you talk to the next person and they're like, yeah, she did. So it's it's not that I don't believe this person and I believe this person. It's that when you get two conflicting accounts, you can't believe either one.
Right.
I'm sorry, but it's just.
And when everybody's acting sketchy about it, then
and
it throws everything off.
This happened from the beginning because I take notes, I write things down because I know that I don't have that great of a memory, and so I go back to my notes and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't remember the pond. With the walker, which I guess it's a stroller, a friend finally did say, hey, I think you deserve to know that, I know it's not probably a huge deal, but it wasn't a walker, it was a stroller. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Is that person, is that true? And then what everyone else
well, and it's amazing to me that the family can be that vague on the details, or not know those details, and give us one version, and then to say that something else happened the next time we talk to them,
yeah,
which we've had happen. So
yeah, and then there's the problem with the stroller, I guess stroller now, or the walker, whatever. Maybe it's one of those words that's kind of interchangeable for people. Totally could be. I sent a picture. Is this what it looked like? And it was yes. And I think that do I scare people? That maybe they just want to tell me what I need. They want, like, do I scare people?
I
To
mean, I
where
suppose
they like
somebody might
tell me what I want
call
to
us.
hear.
I suppose somebody might call a stroller. I mean, a walker, a stroller, possibly, just interchangeably. But when it gets to the really specific question of which one was it, and if you said you had somebody who actually told you that, made it clear that it was actually a stroller and not a
I
walker,
have a
that's kind of
question.
significant.
I have a question. Why is that relevant? I know that she carried it around with her all the time, or that particular day she carried it around with her all day. But why is it relevant?
Fair, you're fair. I just feel like the walker stroller, where it was found is a good place to, like, that's where the search should have been around, but the police did not know about it. It was taken away by someone who had no idea that Shannon was even missing. There's no fault on her part. She was pregnant.
Right.
She saw a stroller walker, pram. Let's just call it a pram for fun. And she saw it and she's like, having a baby. I'm like, ooh, I can clean that up. She took it home with her. I mean, people drive by our house all the time and take stuff that they
They
can
did mine
use or
too.
whatever. So no problem with that at all. And as soon as she found out, she called, but she had already cleaned it. And because it was moved, they couldn't use that as a part of their timeline. I'm sure they kind of paid some attention to it. But for me, that is the center, and that they didn't have that part because it was moved. I get why they can't like count on that, but I still think it's a very viable. I think that she could have left it there, not on purpose, but the first time that I heard about this, I was told that Miss Mary saw her walk up to the Halloween man's house, knock on the door, and that's the end of the story. That was the first account I was given. And then later I was told that Miss Mary saw her walk up there, leave there with the stroller on her head, and be walking towards her home. That's a very important piece to not tell. And I had even said, do you think that it's, we discussed that of like, was she forgetful? Like, would she have left it there? Could it have just been left on accident? Because I'm trying to figure out if that is the place of contact with her killer. That's why the walker is important to me.
Right. Okay.
I feel like it is. That's the place of contact. It's just, it seems that was her mission, was to get that stroller, and so,
the other thing that's frustrating is we keep losing people that are willing to get her story out. We keep losing them. Other podcasters, other things are just like, there's just too much double talk, and like I don't even know, like no one's really they're cooperative, but they're not at all. And like I don't want to get involved in that. I want direct and one truth that's not going to change, because the truth doesn't change. It just is. It's cold truth. And so I've kept it to myself, but there's quite a few people that have turned this case down because of that. And that's really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, there's several different versions of that day that family members have given, of things that happened that day or didn't happen that day. And then they've changed, about her movements, when she came back to her own trailer, if she came back, who else came over there, stuff like that, keeps changing.
Oh, that's a good question. Who reported, if it was reported, what she was wearing the day she went missing? I'm curious of that because her mom wouldn't know, and neither would her sister, since she was asleep when she left the house.
Unless they figured maybe she went to sleep wearing it, and they remembered what she was wearing the day before, and
Jean
maybe
shorts?
they just knew that she went when I guess she was asleep on the couch. Maybe they talked about it and figured out, okay, she was wearing this the night before, and I don't know, unless whether she was the type to change clothes, before running out of the house in the morning on a summer day or not. But it's
Well, I
possible
mean,
they could have figured it out.
it
Yeah.
probably came from the neighbors. I mean, she was
Yeah.
at the one on Metz that lived at the back of Metz. She was at her house where she actually let her in, and she was there for a while,
Right.
looking at a bunny and everything. And then, the sister was like, Shannon's sister was like, I don't even know who that is. I think like, well, I verified that she did in fact live there. Like, I mean, I just, and the grounded part, I found that out later. I don't know.
Well, I was told that too. Her sister said that she was grounded, but that as her big sister, she would kind of have her back and would let her, like break the rules while her mom didn't know. But
Right.
then that goes back to your point.
I totally don't think that her sister did anything I would have done. I'm not saying it's
Right.
right,
Right.
to like cover for your sibling, but I mean, my brother and I, we did it all the time.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is what you do. I don't think that is a thing that she should feel bad about at all. My thing is if my kid was grounded, I mean, why would you go buy him a present?
And why would you not look for them that day, like you said earlier? If you come home and she's supposed to be grounded and she's nowhere in sight, that would seem to me to be a priority to straighten that out before you go shopping.
And, without them coming on and talking and explaining these things, we're just left to question it.
Yep.
It could be cleared up.
We're just met with silence usually when we ask those questions.
Yeah. And Shannon has some aunts and uncles and extended family that, man, they love that little girl. They love that little girl, and they would do whatever it takes to do this. But at the same time, what I've dealt with media is they want to talk to the mom and dad, and the mom and dad in this case are not willing. And so their kind of hands are tied. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that media does that. It's like,
yeah,
talk, just because the mom and the dad and the sister won't, or sisters in this case, won't talk to you. There's other people with information that you could talk to them. Like, don't just say, nah, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
I don't know, Sheila. Christy says, yes, we do. And there's a reason. What's the reason for which part? Which part of like what we're talking about?
Right.
What I'm talking about right now with the
answering the comment about the news media.
Oh, the mom and dad not talking. There's a reason the mom and dad's not talking.
Oh. Yes, we do. What does that mean? Oh, maybe she's media.
That's what I was thinking. It sounded like maybe she was coming from the media standpoint.
Yeah, probably. And they do, and and that's probably unfair, and I'm sorry. And there are plenty of others that have talked to me. And it's just weird to me, in my experience with this case in particular, when or I've gotten a yes, and then they didn't, or, you know, and Marie did do an interview with Tammy before the vigil. And then all of the ones that were done on the day are gone, which really sucks. Because those are the things that you can use to keep using and repeating to get the story out there. Because unfortunately, like, I'm not big enough. I'm not big enough to do that, which is, you know, but they are. And they have the platform. And the fact that I can't even get the, like, guy to answer me of, like, hey, I don't want it because I want to, like, brag about it. It's probably hideous. And I probably don't even want to see myself on TV. But that can be used to generate public outcry for Shannon.
Did we just never find out what happened, or did you find out that the recording was lost, or did you just not hear anything about it? About at the vigil, the interview.
That was what?
Like, did you say that it was definitely lost, or that you just haven't heard what the
my video
Yeah.
is gone. As far as the 2 channels that were there, the one guy was like, yeah, we didn't air it. Okay. And then the other guy was like, never really responded. And I haven't heard back from Rick about that. So I'm guessing he couldn't find it either. But Christy says, I have been there every step of the way. We were called when she first went missing. Tiffany was living with me. I'm sorry, Christy. And I'm sorry if I have offended you in any way. That was not my intent. It's very hard. And I know that there are other family members that have been willing to talk. Tiffany was not willing to talk to me, and neither was Lisa. I asked several times. Marie was not willing to go on record and talk. Billy did. But as far as immediate family, they did not talk to me. Now, her aunts and uncles and extended friends and family have been very forthcoming. And I know it's super hard it doesn't feel like 19 years for them. It's yesterday and it's raw. And I understand that. And I also understand that they are the ones that are going to they're best suited to put the pressure on the investigators and get the public awareness out there through media. And that's just the cold truth of it. You know, some podcaster that's so small, you know, that runs a page, like, that's not from Indiana to boot. You know, that's not, it's a start, and we've done a lot together. Like, we really have, you guys, and I'm proud of all of us. And we just need to keep being her voice. But I've run out of interviews. I don't have anyone that's willing to come on. So the show is interviews. I don't like talking into a mic. I suck at it. So I don't know what else more to talk to. So that's kind of like where we are. And maybe it's just, you know, yeah, I don't know why that interview was never aired. That pisses me off.
It seemed like we could at least get a hold of the footage, but I guess
Right. Like, why the hell would they not air that?
Yeah. I mean, if they couldn't air it one day, they could do it the next day. Or you work it in there somewhere, you would think.
Right.
Which TV station was this that didn't air at all? Do you remember?
The one that only aired the footage before with Marie and Tammy. They were the ones that didn't.
WSFA?
Yeah,
Also?
they just said they didn't air it. He said this is the only footage that we aired. And he sent me the link, and it was for the one prior to the vigil.
Okay.
I don't know. That's weird to me. You send out a camera crew, you pay them to go there, you pay them to take it,
Yeah.
and then not air it. Why? And maybe the family doesn't talk because they're fearful of the media or
Yeah.
of being unjustly blamed. I don't know. It's just really kind of frustrating. Yeah, but it did disappear. That's right. Channel 8 aired it because I saw it, but then they did. Maybe it's
Okay.
just those one-time things on the news that don't get repeated at all over.
I think that's WAKA, I think, Channel 8. I think that's the right one.
They ever followed up on that. Yeah. I had someone come to me with info about someone telling them about a guy at the bar saying his son was involved. I don't know if they ever followed up on that.
I think I remember that one. I was told something similar to that, and
Really?
it was a couple
All
of
I can
brothers.
say now is I know for a fact that Tom Allen, the detective in charge of her case right now, and he has not been in charge of her case nor worked it from the beginning. This is a recent, not recent, but definitely not the beginning. And I'm telling you, he follows up. He emails back, he calls, and I have gotten myself, every time I get the most efficient emails from him, and he speaks to me, and other people have said thank you so much for turning in my tip because he called, and I don't think it's because I did it. I think it's just because it's a different investigator that has he is the investigator for her case. So I just encourage everyone to do it again. Turn your tip in to Tom again. Because I promise you, he is working to the best of his abilities. And I have faith that he's going to be the one that solved this before he retires. Deborah, do you have anything that you have questions about?
Letting it all soak in. I mean, we've heard so much tonight.
Yeah. I kind of let loose.
My hand is cramped from all the notes I made.
Really?
I'm a note taker.
Well, you can watch this video back unless I take it down.
Is Monica still on here?
She was at 11:40.
Okay. My question was similar to Sheila's. She said that the day that Shannon went missing, Ty was working on an empty trailer. Do you know if the police ever looked at that trailer for evidence or anything?
I do not.
Okay.
Are you talking about the one that is now lived in by someone else? That one?
It wasn't lived in by anybody, I don't think.
The one that we found out about when we were in Pryville?
No, it was the one Monica mentioned earlier in the podcast about he was working at an empty trailer that day.
Which was right near the pond, right?
Oh, okay.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's
Good question.
Yeah. Would be good. I mean, I think that, depending on where it was, it's like every trailer in there, I think you have the best idea. Is like, I think the biggest thing that would help is knowing all of the residents at that time and who lived there, because that's where the killer is.
Yeah, if we had a list of actual residents, a no kidding list, we could be
Mhm.
assured that the killer probably is on there, or somebody very close to him, and then that would be a big step, I think, to know that we
Mhm.
had, even if it's 100 to 200 people, we said we would know we have it right there
Right.
within that list.
Yeah, I really do think so. Albeit the presumed murderer that lived 4 minutes away, there is him, which I
Yeah,
find him a very viable suspect. I'm sorry. I do. What I like, just coincidence that there's two child killers, and Carla looked a lot like Shannon. She
yeah,
really did.
yeah.
Like when I
But
saw her
again,
picture, I was like, "Oh,
we do have a connection though that I think was within the park though, so we would still be able to
exactly."
connect somebody off of our list with that person possibly. So
Yeah, I don't know. I just think
yeah,
that I hope that they're taking that tip real seriously. I know that they are. They were mainly questioning us and fingerprinting us, making all of us take lie detector tests. I don't know. I don't think real tips got investigated. Oh, no. So basically, they were questioning in the beginning of the investigation. They were questioning the family. Wonder why they were taking fingerprints. Maybe because they didn't secure her room nor the scene, which is a big. I don't
yeah.
understand.
At that time, they didn't know where she was either at that early stage. I don't think so when they
Right,
did
but
that. Yeah.
to just when you allow, like, you still, I don't know, is that a thing? Like, will you allow the family to go in a house when there's a missing and presumed abducted child?
I
Like,
wouldn't think. I wouldn't think that would. Maybe it was a case of they weren't thinking of it as in the very early stages. They were thinking of it more of maybe she just got lost somewhere and not necessarily something happened.
oh
But
yeah, I'm sure.
you know,
But at one point, like, the family found some evidence. I mean, like,
yeah.
her aunt had to turn over the stroller walker. Her
Hmm.
aunt did.
And then
And
there was something
then,
about a note or something that Shannon had written as well
yeah, in the
that was found in
know.
her room. Yeah.
So I know at least Tammy, and they have said they had to be fingerprinted because of that. So, hopefully, I don't know. I can't see any other reason why they would fingerprint them other than just to, like, see if there were any other fingerprints in the house that
To
didn't belong to
eliminate,
the
yeah, maybe
family.
so. Maybe if they found a set of prints that
Hey,
didn't
Christy, did they take
match.
blood or DNA samples, like cheek swabs or anything from you guys, or just fingerprints? And lie detector tests. Um, I know that I think it was I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry, but I don't think I would take a lie detector test. No, ma'am. Fingerprints and a lie detector test. That's bizarre.
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, okay, well, what about after her body was found? Because I remember someone saying, or at least maybe I just remember this because it's common sense, but the family, a lot of times they ask them to avoid searching for their loved one, which I find absolutely impossible. And you couldn't keep me from that. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm searching for my child. I'm not going to sit here because you don't want me to, like, but I do understand on the other side that the person if they were to touch her, then they become a suspect, when if they didn't, they wouldn't have been, you know what I mean? So that's a tricky one. But I don't know. And then there's the other friends that I've spoken to, and they have never been questioned.
Well, and again, a
Shannon
big part
sure
of
had a lot of best friends, I'll tell you what. Like maybe Shannon was one of those people that everybody just felt like that they were her best friend. But then I find out that, like, yes, you know, she was a great person. She was like literally didn't deserve, like, people didn't deserve her goodness, you know, like, just in general. Like, I wouldn't deserve to know some, like, you know, just unworthy of how good and kind and generous and such a big heart. And those are all the things. And then, but it's hard to talk about those things that are not so pretty. And over time, some of her friends have talked to me about those, of just that there was, you know, it's just, she was picked on, and just was kind of, would wear, you know, stranger things to school and wasn't always kept, you know, clean. And so you're just kind of like, it doesn't really play a part in the murder at all, or anything like that. But could any of those things set her up? Like, it just, I feel like she was just a very fun-loving, carefree, young, old soul,
vulnerable. Yeah.
and naive. And so you have to wonder of, like, I'm just not so sure that a little girl like her, I have a friend and her daughter has, I believe it's Williams syndrome. And I mean, she's the little, you would never know it, but it does cause heart problems, and it does cause a lack of, like, they have, they just, everybody, they love everybody. They would jump into anyone's arms. They would go with anybody. They are everyone's friend from the get-go. So I just kind of like wonder if, not that Shannon had Williams syndrome, that's not what I'm saying at all, but I wonder if Shannon was one of those that just would have gone with just about anybody. I still say that she knew whoever she went with. And it was also told to me she was seen at the gas station at Posey's Crossroad the day she went missing. I have heard that, and I've heard it, two names linked with that, and I know Wesley has too. And Posey's Crossroad would be on the way to the crime scene when we drove it. Like, it could be on the way. I mean, there's a few ways to go, but then I don't know if you've seen that, but I'm not going to name the person because it's just, they're not like tied to this case, but that person had a daughter who did resemble Shannon. And so it just kind of makes me wonder if it was his daughter and it was like a mistaken identity.
That's kind of what I've come to the conclusion with that one.
Yes, Sheila, it is. Not as near as I thought it should be, because, you know, they were like, near to me is, you know, it's just like right, like within walking distance, and it's not from the crime scene. I mean, it's like, well, there's, for some damn reason, there's 2 County Road 66 that run like parallel to each other, and just like, why? So hopefully the crime scene is right. Who knows? Everything else has been wrong. that I thought I knew.
So. When they reported it in the media, they kept referring to near Posey Crossroads, and maybe that was the only landmark they could think of
Yeah.
to give it, because of course you have a church on the other side of
Mhm.
the highway. They could have used that, but it's kind of
Oh,
right in the
no,
middle
Chrissy, like,
between.
I definitely do not think Shannon ran away. I do not think that at all. I don't think she ran away, and I don't think anyone else does either. I think that it's just the debate is whether the abduction site was actually Candlestick. Because, like, what if everybody's been focusing on everybody in Candlestick, and then we find out that Shannon did, leave there and walk somewhere else that day? I mean, there's a big chunk of time that people didn't see her. And we don't really know when she went missing because no one was looking for her until 7 at night. What if she went missing at 6? And it was because she had walked out of the neighborhood. She walked out of the neighborhood with her friends. I know that she should have stayed within her neighborhood, and that's what she was supposed to do. But I've heard from so many people that say she crawled through the drainage ditch with all the other kids. They went back to the creek. They went over to the some kind of a field in a hill, and the little thing that I put on the thumbnail for this, that what's it called, Wesley? The little
The
tower castle.
Oh yeah, it doesn't really have it's kind of a castle, I guess. That
Oh
used to
yeah,
be part of
Sheila.
a
I
water park.
completely
Yeah.
agree. I don't think she was alive. I mean, I really do think that the killer is in Candlestick, and I don't think she ever left a trailer alive, to be honest.
I
But
agree.
is that just because we think that she didn't leave? I don't know. I mean, you just kind of have to be open to everything. But I'm definitely not open to Shannon running away. I think that her love for Caleb and her family was enough. Like, I just don't see her running away. Can you confirm, was she locked out of her house? Like, that's one thing. It doesn't, like, is that the reason? Because there's so many people question the family because of that. And they have had kind of surveillance footage on the way to where they found her. Oh, some kind of surveillance footage on the way to where they found her. No, ma'am. They didn't lock her out. And if they didn't lock her out and the whole neighborhood is saying that they did, they should go ape shit in the group. I
Yeah, because
would.
that's where that's coming from, is from
Yeah.
others in the park.
Others in Candlestick say that a lot. And there's been a lot of them that say that. And so it's like, if they didn't do that, like, did they, like, what's their motive for saying that they did? I don't know.
Yeah.
Has anyone said how much blood was found in Foster's trailer? No. Do they? No, they didn't lock her out. I'm asking why they didn't check for that. The surveillance. So yeah.
It's possible the store didn't have good surveillance.
Or it was deleted by that time, because that was 6 weeks later when they even knew about County Road 6.
You also got to remember 9/11 pretty much destroyed nothing. It stopped everything, because
Yeah.
it was, so that was a huge,
It really
that could be the reason why there's a lot of stuff that wasn't done, because they had to stop.
Yeah.
Because
And
you remember, it was just too much. It was
yeah,
overwhelming, to everybody.
right. Yeah. And also the damn sketch. that's what they focused on before 9/11. So,
and the two vehicles they mentioned,
ugh,
on that old description.
yeah, but only one man. So that's what's just always been like, how does he drive two cars? I don't get it. What am I missing? Because I read those papers over and over and over again. There isn't anything about like it was like two different accounts. It was from the same witnesses. So I just don't. I thought the sketch was made up from the beginning, and if it wasn't, I still don't like sketches. I think that
Right.
they do because we do. We want a picture to fear. That way, I don't have to fear you. You don't have to fear me, and I don't have to fear you, and you, and I can let you into my life safely because you don't look like that sketch.
And also, a picture or a sketch can be looked at and by anybody and looks like almost anybody. You could put, maybe this was a strange one, but you could have, for example, with the Delphi, they'll put in almost any man's picture up against a sketch, and they could say they think it's him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just
it's crazy.
too much. It gets too much attention.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy that I don't know, but the crazy thing is even with that wild ass hairy mole man with the bulging eyes, like everything about it is just literally. I don't even like looking at it. Like I
The
don't like
weird
to talk
color
about
with the
it.
color of the eyes. Yeah.
It's become like a trigger for anger for me. Like I can't stand it. But you can still find people that freaking look like it. You're like,
But else,
what? I've been sent 3. I've been sent a lot, but there were 3, and I was like, holy shit. This
I
guy
also,
looks like that. Like, how in the world are there 3 of them? One even had a mole. Now, that's a guy that I think they need to look into.
but I
And he
still have people that say that they'll call and say they think that they are just talking and they think they know who might have done it, and they'll say he looks just like the sketch, and they still say that even though the sketch has been discredited.
Yeah, and no one can let it go. I get
Mhm.
requests for people to please share the sketch. I'm like, I am not I won't do it. I will not do it because I think that because of that sketch, they wasted a ton of time on it, and no one will let it go, and so no one is willing to look at anyone else that doesn't look like the sketch.
Yep.
Why did they change the sketch to begin with from Mole Guide to a total different sketch? And were both sketches thrown out? Ooh, I don't
It
actually
wasn't
know. Do you know?
that. No, because there was two versions of that sketch, and the second one didn't look a great
It
deal
did
like
still have
the
a
first
mole on
one.
it. There was a mole on it. I zoomed in
But
on it, and it had a hair that went all the way over onto the guy's nose. If you zoom in on it, it did have the hair, so I think it is of the same one. But yeah, like I mean his eyes, his like everything else about him, the blockhead, everything else about him changed except for the mole with the hair. It's just
right, the
so
second sketch,
bizarre.
the guy had more of a beard. I think in the second one they had like a goatee on him or something.
Yeah. That was weird though. Weird. But we should probably wrap it up. We've been on for 2 hours and 22 minutes. So do you
I was
guys
gonna
have
just
any
I was
final
gonna ask
words?
one more thing, kind of to revisit what you were talking about earlier, about Ty. Um, what are your feelings on? We've heard some rumors that there was maybe others involved that could have maybe assisted him in avoiding some of the legal actions or mitigating it somehow, um, within the police department or elsewhere in the city. Um, what's your take on that?
You know, everything's possible. I just always think that like corruption is rare. I mean, I do know that there was a police officer that was living in there at that time that was friends of people, and he did live in there, and he's kind of sketch. And I think they should take a look at that police officer. And then, of course, the last person to see her was also a police officer. There was another sheriff and then a sheriff's son living in there. So you do have that possibility. But I feel like because other agencies came in first or alongside of local, the chances of those other agencies covering up for the locals is pretty low, you know?
Good point.
Not that maybe they just didn't know about the one guy, especially the one guy. And it's not the last person to see her alive that I'm talking about,
Right.
but yeah, like I think that it's crazy that you have all of these law enforcement officers living in one neighborhood with all of these perverts, like pedophiles, like McElroy and freaking Gibson. And then there was another one that I can't remember his name, but lived up on a different street. It's like,
Yeah, I've heard of a couple other ones too.
oh yeah, there was another one that lived. He worked in law enforcement in something on the very backside by the castle. I mean, literally from front to back to side of that place. And we met someone
We did, yeah.
that like said that too to us there, and that was a person I don't think we knew that name at all of the woman.
No, that was the
I
first
didn't
time
know
I've
there was
heard
a
it.
woman like law enforcement officer that lived in there as well. I was like, good Lord, they're on every street, every corner of that place. Like this guy was brazen, or she went in a trailer and she never came out.
Right.
So,
Okay.
do you have any last comments before we sign off, Deborah?
I don't think so.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. I mean, I do want to say this, and I'm saying it to Monica because, my sister, she's a super sleuth. And she got all into the sketches and stuff like that. And so she did her homework. And that second sketch that came out actually looked a little bit like Ty.
I can see that a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not have seen that if she had not have pointed it out to me. So go, Sheila.
Yeah. Your sister's awesome. Her and her notebook, buddy. You two and your notebooks. I can write in a notebook, but you can't read it.
I still forget what, I'll ask the same questions over and over because even though I write it down or not.
Well, that's just it. I write them in the notebook all the time, but do I go back and look at them?
Right. Yeah, and that land is not really like, I mean, I don't know the relevancy of him moving to that land. Yeah, I think it's a little weird, but it's not like it's the crime scene that he moved
Right.
to.
It's not as close as I once thought it was. It's just in the same area, I guess you'd say.
And I know we kind of talked about it on the podcast, but like the crime scene, when we went there, like, I don't know. It just felt like a place. Everything about this now to me just feels like like that was convenient. It wasn't, it was accessible by vehicle. Yeah, it was hard to find. So yeah, you're going to need to know where that place is. But once you do, you can go back and it's convenient and it's like quick. There
Yep.
wasn't anything organized about this. We're not looking for a serial killer. Who knows what he's done afterwards, but I think we're looking for a pervert or an accident, like well, it's still murder. But like,
someone keeping a big secret.
oh yeah,
I don't think it was
absolutely.
intentional. I think it maybe happened as an accident. She didn't walk in that trailer and they say, we're going to kill her. I think it was an accident.
Right. And then here's another crazy thing I almost forgot to mention. I've had people come and like message me or talk to me about that there was like a known, I don't want to really say it, but like a known like sex house in there.
In
And then
Candlestick?
other people have said that they were like making videos of children, like they were producing child porn in there.
I have heard that as well. Maybe not exactly right in the park, but in a place very near the park is where they were doing that kind of thing. I've heard the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, and then
And if
you're
that's the
like,
case, it could get really complicated.
Christy says in drugs too.
do what?
Christy had written in drugs.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
I've heard that as well. That's what I was
Like a
kind of,
lot of different
yeah. I was trying to
people
allude to that a minute
selling
ago.
drugs.
If there was that kind of thing going on and lots of people are wrapped up in it,
Mm-hmm.
and he's wrapped up in it, then it could cause maybe things to happen with the investigation, possibly, influence or
One
going.
house connected to the Dover guy was raided, well, at least from what I was told, by a few different people that don't seem to know each other or like each other. That it was raided not long after. So who knows if that's true or not?
Yeah.
But, that like it's just.
I agree, though. Until people decide they want to tell the truth or tell what they know, we'll still be stuck.
Yeah, like I hear you. Like and she says if it was an accident, why put her underwear on her head, then just throw her out like trash, not buying it. Sorry.
Yeah. I guess you could say instead of accident, you could say the
Right.
intent. It wasn't an intent to kill necessarily, but they were obviously assaulting her, and then that happened. So instead,
I just didn't say it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but then again, that's another frustrating thing is that someone in law enforcement says, like, I don't know where people are getting that our underwear were found on her head. So are they implying that that's not true? I don't know. I just don't buy that at all. I think they know that was like a piece. And I intentionally left off the description of that because I knew that could have been a piece. But that wasn't something that wasn't said in the group either. And I think that it's a part, like me and you, I went back and forth on that. And it's something that this person that knows who did this, they need to take that as a huge red flag that this is not a person that just, it's just an accident. That's not an accident. Putting a little girl's underwear on her head, that's not an accident. I don't care if they're around her head, around her throat. You don't do that. And you don't take a little girl's clothes off. There isn't any way to know that she was raped because of the condition of her body. I was able to confirm that. But when your clothes aren't on you kind of have to go on a little girl, you kind of have to assume that, and they may have found a degraded sample of that on the clothing, but her clothes weren't on her body. They were in a pile, and that's not how decomp works. They're not going to pile up like that. And so this killer is real stupid too.
Yeah.
to put everything in the same bag. I mean, that's just like haste. So I think with the crime
Haste and panic.
panic, like this person just got lucky and slipped through the cracks of the system. It's really sad. I believe to mock law. But Monica had also said earlier that he liked to keep those. So those hard compulsions, leaving those behind, I don't think so. I mean, they're going to take those with them. And I thought that too, like about the underwear. I thought that was like a signature when I first heard that on the podcast in the interview. But the I totally lost my thought. I'm getting really tired now. I need like a prompter. You were saying this.
You were talking about the signature. You thought it was a signature.
The underwear were a part of the signature of like a compulsion that they do every time. They have to do that because that's a part of their fantasy. Which wouldn't match up with someone that has that fantasy, that compulsion of taking them and keeping them. They have to do that. And so but then again, I don't know. It's a strange aspect of it. And that's why, I don't think that it's anyone in her family. I don't know. It's hard for me to wrap my head around anyone. I know that they did their due diligence and they looked at the family and maybe they should have been more forthcoming with but maybe the immediate family wasn't what they dealt with them, what I've dealt with them. And they just were frustrated by that, and it could be innocent that they acted like that. Okay, I'm not saying that I don't think that they're guilty. I'm not saying that at all. And so you got to kind of think of if the investigators went through that, then maybe they just thought they did it, but I don't know. Whoever it is, justice will find them one day, whether here on earth or in the end. Yes. Yep. That is very true. That was what I was thinking when she said she saw he collected panties. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and the bag she was disposed in, it wasn't a general trash bag found in your home. Had to be an industrial type of bag, pretty large. Who has that just lying around, a maintenance man, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Good point.
I mean, we have them, but I did just buy them for my little experiment. And then, I don't know, does Alabama have fall where you have leaves?
There's probably plenty of sources. Yeah. But there's probably plenty of sources for that kind of a thing. It'd be hard to pinpoint. It's to say that indicates that came from a certain place.
True.
Yeah.
But most people have, especially in, those bags are what would be the need? And so most people just in your home, you have the white trash bags. So who in the neighborhood used black trash bags? Who in the neighborhood left that night? Anyone see anyone putting a trash bag into the back of their truck? They're going to go get rid of trash. These are things that people need to think about and try to remember. And I just saw a comment in the group earlier. It was I think the reason is because people are scared of the killer. fuck that dude. Go to the police and tell them what you know. Like, I'm gonna be quiet.
Yeah,
on that
you
comment.
just got to. I mean, that's just, there's no excuse for not doing that.
Yeah, there's no excuse. There just really isn't.
Especially not
And
after
I really
19 years.
do. Like, I'm sure that the police feel differently. Like they're willing to trade, no charges, keep their name private, put them in, they can do all of those things. But personally, if there's someone that's known about this the whole damn time, I want them to be charged to the fullest extent of the law. And I mean that with all my heart. They do not deserve to just be patted on the back as the hero of the story for finally coming forward with the truth. But that's how it
Agreed.
will go down. And that's how they will be viewed in the media and on with the police, because regardless, that's fine, but just personally, it just eats me that I know there's someone that knows and they'll pay. I mean, they'll answer to God too.
Yeah.
Or karma. They'll answer for that. But well, I really appreciate you guys. I hope it was a good show. I hope we didn't piss too many people off.
Good
And
discussion.
I think we really got real. And we got some things out there that we've needed to say. So I am going to say good night and have a good one.
Thank
Thank
you
you, Mel.
for everything, Mel.
Thank you guys. Bye, everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.